I'm gonna give you one.
I started homeschooling just my oldest when he was going into 5th grade. This year in the fall, I will be homeschooling an 8th grader, a 6th grader, a 4th grader, and a pre-K kindergartner. Okay, so we have a finished basement, and this is where we do homeschool. So Piper is here. This is her kind of desk and all of her stuff. This is our addition of Wes this year, who was in public school but is not going to be home with us. Toby he's the oldest, so he has the big chair and his desk, and then this is my area and our computer.
Hi, Toby.
One of the things that intimidated me about homeschooling is that I just did not feel smart enough. I tend to maybe think more negative thoughts about myself, and so I was very intimidated at the thought of being the educator and making sure that he got everything he needed for 5th grade.
You're lesson 26, sweetie.
I have 5 kids that range from the age of 5 to 13, and my older 3 are homeschooled, and my younger 2, who are in 2nd grade and kindergarten, are going to a local Christian school. I was kind of like almost anti-homeschooling because I feel like I had this idea of what homeschool kids look like, and I was like, I don't want my kids to be like that because they seem sheepish, non-social, incapable of making like decisions like in a larger group, and just kind of like reserved. So I was like, I'm never homeschooling.
So I was homeschooled for a series of years, and I was a total nerd, and I was really shy, and I was insecure, and I think I wore my brother's pants my first day of high school, which is really embarrassing. I have 5 kids.
Where are we, Liam?
And have been homeschooling some
Is this
or
Balboa
all
Ferry?
of them for about 7 years or 8 years, 7 years. So after a giant glass of wine and a long conversation with some friends of kind of processing through their journey, I came to the conclusion that the only reason we weren't doing it is because I didn't want to. And that wasn't really a good enough reason for me not to try it. Not to at least try it, right? And nobody wanted to ever do school in it. We've done school in the basement, we had an actual room we did school in, and like everybody just wanted to either be outside or in the main area. And so we scrapped the schoolroom idea, and this is just where we do it. I feel like that first year, it was really hard, like really hard. And I don't think everybody's homeschool experience is my homeschool experience. And I wouldn't wish my first year of homeschool on anyone. And it was less about the circumstances or actually doing the homeschool and the way that it was a circumstantial thing that pushed things in my interior to the surface that I then had to deal with, you know.
Everybody's got their own drawer where they keep their homeschool stuff. So they just put it in there when they're done, and supplies and my stuff, my future planner. But I'm really more of an administrator at this point than I am a teacher, since they're all, dual enrolled. But yeah, this is where the magic happens.
We started homeschooling when 3 private school tuitions got to be too expensive for our family, and we started looking at other options. And honestly, had I known that homeschooling was a thing that people did even before private school, we would have done that immediately.
I have one daughter. She is 14 now, just turned 14. So we are going into our 11th year actually of homeschooling with Cece. So this is, we've been with the same program since she was little. I was an education major, and right away I was introduced to the idea of classical education, which made so much sense to me because it taps into like what kids' natural learning abilities are and where they are developmentally, and it just made so much sense.
I have 2 children. They are 13 and almost 15. They are in 8th grade, going into 8th grade and going into 9th grade, and we have been homeschooling for 7 years. I am a single mom, so I have been doing this homeschooling thing on my own, and it has been quite a journey. Definitely something that I didn't imagine doing by myself, nor did I imagine doing it this long. There are a lot of doubts and questions that you go through. I think the main ones are just, am I going to mess up my kids? Are they going to learn? Are they going to know enough? Are they going to be able to go to college if they want to go to college? Are they going to be well-rounded people? Are they going to be okay? Those are all the normal questions.
It's like there were implications tied to our decision to homeschool that weren't real, but they felt super real.
We had one kid in particular, all of our kids were in school. We started the homeschool method with him. We pulled him out in the middle of 3rd grade because we knew that that was not going to be something that he was going to be able to do, was sit in a chair all day long.
I had to make the decision if we were going to continue on the road for homeschooling as a single parent who is not supported by anybody. You know, I had to decide if I was willing to do that or not. And again, for me personally, it wasn't really a question.
We didn't start homeschooling until Sam was in 3rd grade, Lulu was in 5th grade, and Robbie was in 7th grade. So let me just convince you that it is never too late to start. Even if your kid is already in high school and has been in private school, has been in public school, you can start homeschooling at any point.
Math, like from a book, was not working for us, so we decided to do online. And I literally, in the middle of the year, just tossed the math book out and switched to online. Like, it's okay if you start one thing and switch in the middle.
And they're starting Algebra 1. We use our Saxon, and this is what CC recommends. And we did try a couple different programs when she was younger, and just found that the classical approach here, like the repetition, worked really well for us.
You know, people feel like they have to replicate the classroom, and it's like, you don't have to replicate a classroom. Like, your kid can literally be jumping on a trampoline and studying.
There is no one way to homeschool. Every family is so different, and that is one of the things that I love about homeschooling, is the freedom and the flexibility.
Homeschool's really evolved and it's really changed. And it's not, people don't homeschool for the same reasons now that they used to homeschool. It's not a reaction to something, it's the development of something.
Every time I hear her talk and communicate her feelings and express her thoughts, every time I see what her at her computer, just like writing forever, just like all these hours spending on a book, like I'm blown away. My mind is blown. To see her read a graphic novel book in a day, twice in a day, I'm like, she couldn't do that before. So those are the surprises when they reach milestones that you weren't expecting them to meet.
Watching my children flourish in, like, owning their own education and recognizing what their strengths are and giving a little bit more time to those weaknesses.
She is a very independent learner, and that has come from 10 years of hard work pouring into that, but now we're starting to really see the benefit to that.
So, like, one of the reasons I didn't want to homeschool, like, this specific kid was because we butt heads. And if there's one thing that I hear moms say all the time is like, well, I can't homeschool them because we just don't get along, and I can never homeschool that kid.
When you have those times where there is conflict or frustration on anyone's part, because we're family, we have to stay in it and we work through it. And on the other side of it, we come out of the conflict loving each other and caring for each other, sometimes on a deeper level than we did prior to the conflict.
Our relationship actually grew in such a beautiful way because it was such a unique, sweet time that now that child is like my buddy. Like, he's the one that protects me and takes care of me. It's like, Mom, like, what do you need? Like, how can I help you? And we probably would still butt heads now if I sent him to school every single day. But we've learned how to relate to each other and care for each other in a way where I resisted and was like, absolutely not you. And he was probably like, absolutely not you, Mom. But now it's like the best relationship ever.
It's okay for things to be hard. It's okay to wrestle with things. Struggle is okay. And I think generally, I feel like our culture is recoils at that stuff, and it's like the answer to being in pain is get out of it as fast as you can. The answer to being in a hard situation is make it stop. And I think transformation is birthed from pain, and that year for me was one of the most transformative years of my life.
Go to people's houses and I teach piano. I do tutor for 2 of our different communities, so that is there is a financial aspect to that too, so that helps to cover her tuition and her educational expenses. But I don't have a typical job. I don't have like all of the support that's there, but it is something that is, I have the rest of my life to have a career if I choose, and I don't have the rest of my life to pour into my daughter the way that I can right now.
You know, I've had dreams and goals and hopes for myself as an individual, and I just knew if I have made it this far with, like, I have a very extensive health history, and if I've made it this far, I feel like I could make it even further to get to do the things that I've always wanted to do when my kids are older.
Their moms are doing this in an environment, in a culture where staying at home and being a mom isn't always the most elevated position. And they will find out in the future how sacrificial that is, how selfless that was. These moms are highly educated, highly driven to do many things, and highly organized, and they choose to put all that aside to be in the midst of their kids' lives. And I think they'll appreciate that later. I don't know if they understand that quite yet, but I think sometime in the future they will see that. So,
Noun, pronoun, verb, adverb, conjunction, interjection, preposition, adjective. The goals are physical, education, character, spiritual, and skill.
So give me an example of one of them.
Like for physical, I'm trying to run 5 miles by the end of the year. Can you get a sleepover?
Look, your books are here.
Wow.
All in all, I think it was by the age of 35, I finally finished my academic career. Academics are important to me. Academic institutions are important to me. A big concern of mine with homeschooling was that we wouldn't have a premier education.
I don't just want to give them information to know. I don't just want to shove things in their brain so they can pass a test one day. I want to teach them how to think. I want to teach them how to be critical thinkers, to think critically about things. If you can learn how to think instead of just what to think, you can learn anything. I believe that.
Kids are learning how to learn. They're not just learning a subject. So it's not just, do you know your math addition facts? It's do you understand how this works so that you can go on and apply that to other things.
Why we do CC specifically is because I want you to learn how to be a critical thinker and not just be like, well, this is what I told you, so this is what you have to remember. Like, nope. Like, you're allowed to have questions, and like, let's debate and talk about it instead of me just like, instead of regurgitating information.
Even in my very relaxed attitude about homeschooling, my kids have flourished. So my oldest son, Robbie, he skipped 8th grade and he graduated a year early with his associate's degree from our St. Louis Community College at Merrimack.
The actual projects that the kids are able to actually complete is astonishing. It truly is.
And to see Charlie at age 12 interpreting and translating an entire Latin sentence in his second year, and then having years of Latin after that, and knowing the roots of words and why they mean what they mean at age 12.
For them, there's not just the states and the capitals, but you got to do the entire world. And not that you just need to know every country and all the cities of the world. You have to be able to actually draw it. And that is so overwhelming to think about. And our daughter, who was 12 at the time, was able to take that project on, and she excelled at it.
They were diagramming sentences. They were studying grammar. And Charlie at the time was, I believe he was 10 years old. And it was just impressive to watch him dissect a sentence in a way that required logic, and it required an understanding of the structure of a sentence at a really deep level.
Sam devours books. He'll read a book a day if he wants. And we're talking inch-plus thick books that he'll devour. Lulu has taught herself 5 musical instruments.
I own the development of their mind and their brain and their character, like, because I think it's a package deal, right? When my kids went to another school, I don't think that my brain wasn't switched on to care about those things in the same way that I care about them now, because I own them now.
And because we own the education, we are having conversations on a regular basis, whether it's in the car ride, sometimes over dinner, and then sometimes in the classroom. But regardless, life is full of teaching opportunities. And when you own the education, you will take more of those opportunities than if you do not own the education.
It's been very remarkable to watch how much information they're able to absorb, and then how much of that they actually keep and then actually live it out. So it's been really remarkable and quite surprising. So,
if you're homeschooled, you have this opportunity to be efficient with your time. That was something that was very interesting to me.
Flexibility. The flexibility is maybe up there with my top 5.
That's what I liked about homeschooling, is that I'm able to take my kids on trips with me, for instance.
There have been some opportunities that we've been able to teach the kids some things outside of the classroom, being that we might go to New York for a night, we might go to California for a weekend, or what it might be, but they will come to some of the meetings, we'll explore the city that we're in, and we'll do school too while we're at it. I mean, they can do that as well. So
I love that my sons get to travel with their dad, and they get to see him work, and they get to see him in action, and they get to see him when he is at his best and he is like firing on all cylinders.
I remember taking Charlie to Alcatraz, off the coast of San Francisco, the prison, and we put headphones on and we walked through and we learned a ton. It was super interesting.
One of the concerns was the social interactive narrative that seems to be pushed of why you wouldn't want your children to homeschool. My kids have so many friends. We have on average 6 to 8 teens here every week, minimally multiple times a week.
And for my kids, they're very social. They like being around other kids, and they have that aspect of it through homeschooling, but they also have it through our family. We're a very social family, so they have a lot of friends, they have a lot of cousins.
Classical Conversations, or CC, is a program that we joined. It's a once-a-week program that's a supplement to our homeschool education.
We joined a co-op the first year that we started homeschooling, and that co-op has been instrumental in our homeschool community. It is the basis of my children's friendships, their close friendships. We get to do all of those fun things that everyone thinks that homeschoolers miss out on. We've got homecoming, we've got prom, we've got activities that the kids are doing together.
And it's been a community and a group of people that I've come to love and trust and respect. And that's been a really neat thing that has come out of my journey.
We've not done this alone. There has been a very supportive group of people that have always been there for us.
He's made some hopefully lifelong friends, but some very good friends through homeschooling.
I think at the end of the day, the thing that I'm most thankful for with homeschool has been the time that I've gotten with my kids, and the time you don't get back.
I'm probably gonna tear up because she's 14. One of my friends said, "You realize we have 3 summers left?" I was like, "Do not say that. That's horrible to me," because I love her and I love the relationship that we have.
Randy will look at me sometimes and say, "Look at our kids. Look at our kids. They'll never be this old ever again."
Life is short. You only have 18 summers with each kid, Lord willing.
Because you just want to stick your nose in their necks and breathe all of who they are in and freeze dry this moment that you'll never live again. You'll never live that moment again. You're like, where did the time go? Like you were babies yesterday. I'm so thankful for the time. I'm thankful for the time.
I love the amount of time that we get to have together. I love the experiences that we've had together, the places we've had the chance to go, the freedom and time that we get, watching the kids grow firsthand all the time.
We have very limited time with the kids, and we want it to be sweet. and we want them to be fully prepared. So let's take advantage of the time that we have with our children, that the Lord has blessed us with. We feel like we're fully taking advantage of that, not living with regrets. And we're enjoying it. We're not surviving, we're thriving. We're truly enjoying this time that we have.
Try. Just try. Like, I would tell just somebody to just try it before you live in that place of just not knowing.
This is what I'm doing now, and I wouldn't trade it for anything, so